Welcome, everyone. Cannabis News with Joe Klare for May 11th, 2018. Brought to you, of course, by the Marijuana Times. Check out marijuanatimes.org. And, of course, you can now find Cannabis News on Vimeo, Vimeo, Vimeo.com. Search Vimeo, search the Marijuana Times there, or Vimeo.com/Marijuana Times X. Last I checked, the YouTube channel is still down. Whether or not it ever comes back will remain to be seen. But in the meantime, and going forward, you can find us on Vimeo.com/Marijuana Times X. Of course, search Apple Podcasts for the Marijuana Times. Search Facebook. Go to marijuanatimes.org. All of that stuff. It'd be great if you could get around to all of it after you watch this, and then do that, and then get started with your weekend. It would be awesome. It's good pattern of events. I just planned out your entire night for you. You're welcome. Here you go. Today, talking about veterans and marijuana. Also, some interesting myths that still float around that are believed by many people in power, which is a problem. And also, if Illinois legalizes marijuana, what will happen to the pups, the canines, the dogs? What will happen to the drug-sniffing dogs? Well, it'll be a catastrophe of immense proportions. Talk about all of that coming up. But first, Cannabis News is brought to you by NatureSideCannabis.com. Check out their lines of organic, all-natural pesticides. Don't use harmful chemicals on your grows. Grow safe and poison-free. Be regulatory compliant in the state that you're growing in. Make sure you check out NatureSideCannabis.com, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News. Take advantage of their expertise, their products, all of that. NatureSideCannabis.com. Go check them out. This first story is from marijuanatimes.org by Julia Granowitz. Congress to vote on allowing cannabis and cannabis research and treatment for veterans. As you know, if you follow this show or cannabis news in general, that the battle between veterans using medical marijuana and the government has been a long one, and it continues to this day. But maybe there's some hope on the horizon. House lawmakers appear likely to pass a bill that would encourage the Department of Veterans Affairs to research the safety and efficacy of medical marijuana. On Tuesday, the House Committee on Veteran Affairs voted unanimously to advance the VA Medical Cannabis Research Act to the House floor for a final vote. Colorado U.S. Representative Mike Kaufman told Colorado Politics, quote, "I'm not opposed to using marijuana extracts following the appropriate medical research as an alternative to indiscriminately prescribing opioids to our veterans to deal with chronic pain." According to Julia, the bill not only wants to encourage, not require research on medical marijuana, but also to give the VA permission to allow veterans access to medical marijuana for treatment of post-traumatic stress disorder or chronic intractable pain. Both conditions affect veterans more than the general population, and both appear to respond well to medical marijuana and are qualifying conditions for medical cannabis in a number of states across the country. And of course, all of that is true. And if veterans can finally get access, it's never made sense. As many things when surrounding marijuana prohibition don't make sense. Why someone can go defend our country, fight in a war, risk their lives, be under stressful circumstances for 12, 14, 16, 18 months at a time, whatever it is, and they come home and they have problems, and the government says, well, it's legal in your state, but no, still, you can't smoke a joint. Here's some pills. Here's a bottle of pills. But no, you can't talk to your doctor about joints or any kind of extracts or anything, CBD gummies, none of it. None of it. It's insane, and hopefully it's a practice that will come to an end very, very soon. This next story, some CPR.org. When it comes to Colorado's marijuana industry, Congress's view is clouded by myth. That's a very interesting and scary title, and it's something I've talked about quite a bit before we get into this story. Ignorance on marijuana is acceptable. Ignorance on any subject is acceptable if that's what you want to do. That's fine. That's great. I don't care. There's tons of stuff I don't know about, I'm not interested in, I don't care about. Maybe you feel that way about marijuana. And that's fine. You have no interest in finding anything out about it. You'd rather watch, documentaries about space or, something else. You'd rather just do something else. You don't care. It doesn't affect you. It's not your problem. You don't care about it. That's fine. There's tons of stuff like that for me. I just don't care. I don't care enough to look into it. I'm not worried about it. And here's the thing. If your job if part of your job description is to have power over that thing and whether or not people are allowed to do that thing, then you have to learn something about it. And it's very easy. It's very, very easy. The whole internet is full of information. It's an amazing thing. Maybe congressmen may haven't heard of it. The internet. It's a big thing. It's been around for a while now, a couple of decades. I mean, you know, I've been on it since 1996, so 22 years. The internet. Look it up. Look it up on the internet. Go to Google and search the internet. Anyway, this story is from CPR.org. Colorado's been ground zero for marijuana legalization nationwide, but now that other states are looking into medical marijuana or to outright legalize recreational consumption, many of the nation's policymakers are getting the key facts wrong about the state's cannabis market. How about this is what Iowa Republican Representative Steve King said. He said, quote, "I think it's terrible, and I think it proliferates marijuana all over the Midwest. It's causing all kinds of social problems in Colorado, and wherever it's proliferated, it's causing social problems, and it's part of the defiance of federal law." As I pointed out in previous episodes, politicians are the best at saying nothing. He said nothing there. Nothing substantial. Nothing can be backed up. Nothing that can be questioned. Because it's all smoke and mirrors. There's social problems. Social problems. Marijuana is proliferating across the Midwest. What does that even mean? How is that quantifiable? Where's the evidence of that? Where's the evidence of the social problems? Defiance of federal law? Well, yeah, I'll give him that. It is that. Even a broken clock, as they say, is right twice a day. King is correct that police have busted rings of people trying to smuggle marijuana out of Colorado. A recent pilot study from Colorado State University's Pueblo Institute of Cannabis Research took on some of the stereotypes of social impact. This is a very long article. Some other key nuggets. Again, all these articles that I talk about are linked in the description of the video. If you want to go check it out. Andy Harris of Maryland said, "All I know is they got a whole lot more instances of drug driving. That's a danger," referencing Colorado. Those claims beg the question of where lawmakers are getting their data. In 2017, the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety released a study showing accidents were up by 3% in Colorado since voters allowed recreational marijuana, while the American Journal of Public Health released a study showing no increase in auto accidents due to marijuana. Critics also say, of course, that tests showing marijuana in drivers are flawed because THC stays in people's bodies for as long as a month. It's really, again, it's not, ignorance is fine. Ignorance is fine. And it speaks to why we shouldn't have people having power over this in the first place. Politicians and lawmakers should never have had power over marijuana to begin with. But because of prohibition, we have to beg for part of our freedom back. And now they have the power over it, and what's going to happen as it comes into a regulated market. And they don't feel a need to learn anything about it. It's not a big deal. Just heard some stuff about marijuana 20 years ago. I'm going to go in front of the cameras or this interview or whatever. I'm going to say that, and I'm going to move on. It's going to be, that's it. It's good enough for the people who vote for me, then it's good enough. Last story is from Pantograph.com. Never heard of it, but apparently it is a real thing. If Illinois legalizes marijuana, what happens to pot-sniffing dogs? The eternal question. Now, if we legalize in Illinois, what's going to happen to the doggies? If Illinois legalizes marijuana for recreational use, officials fear job losses for hundreds of officers, specifically the four-legged kind. Police agencies spend thousands of dollars and months of training to teach dogs how to sniff out and alert officers to the presence of marijuana, heroin, cocaine, and other drugs. And first of all, about that, there's tons of studies that show that drug-sniffing dogs are really a scam. The handler can make their dog alert on anything. Smells will make a dog alert. Like they did a study where they were taking him through this house, and the handler was making him do stuff and alert on things, and they put like sausages in one thing, and the dog passed by the sausages because the owner didn't alert him to the sausages, and went to something where there were no sausages, and the handler alerted the dog, and the dog, or the handler did something and alerted the dog, and the dog said, "Here, check here." It's a scam, is the point I'm getting to. Anyway, This also it's big. Another huge long article all about what is ever going to happen to the dogs who lose their jobs because you can't retrain them. They're going to always alert for marijuana. I guess they can't go on to the part of the canine units that run after people and tackle them and bite them and pull them to the ground. I don't know. That seems like a pretty good gig for a canine. Like, oh well, you can't do the drug sniffing thing anymore. So what we're going to do is we're going to take you over to the unit where you get to chase down bad guys and like pounce on them and bite them, and they beg for you to stop. And like, oh man, get this dog off of me or whatever. That and then it points out later in the article, a lot of the times that because these dogs can't be socialized, that their handlers take them home, and of course they love their handlers because they're handlers. But this later in the article, we see these couple paragraphs. Because many canines are trained not to be social, so their work won't be affected. Larner, who's mentioned earlier in the article, said a number of dogs would likely have to be euthanized. Oh, they have to kill the dogs. If marijuana is legalized in Illinois, they have to kill the dogs. Dan Lynn, executive director of the marijuana advocacy group Illinois Normal, called that suggestion a red herring. He said, quote, the idea that legalizing for adults to have an ounce of them will equal all these dogs being euthanized, it seems kind of ridiculous and hyperbolic. Indeed it does. Let me scroll down and past another huge ad. There's so much, Panagraph.com, there's so much stuff on this website. Just a ton of stuff. Retired canines in Bloomington and Normal typically continue to live with their handlers. Like I just said, they have nothing left. So now they're going to go with, hey, if you legalize marijuana in Illinois, we're gonna shoot all these dogs. Sorry, not shoot them. We'll shoot them with needles. But it's basically the same thing. It's like a little meme. You're holding the dog by the head, you put the little gun next to it, and saying, if you legalize marijuana, we're gonna shoot these dogs. I don't know. The ridiculousness knows no bounds. Really, that's bred by desperation. Obviously, marijuana legalization is happening. We're making it happen. We're here 5 days a week doing our part to make it happen on Cannabis News. Thank you to NatureSideCannabis.com for being a proud sponsor of the show. Check out the organic, all-natural pesticides, NatureSideCannabis.com. That's the end of the week. Go enjoy your weekend. Spread the word about us on Vimeo, vimeo.com/marijuana_times X. We'll see you all next week here on Cannabis News.